Hello, and thank you for joining me today on today's webinar. It's about beauty training and the role of CPD, which I'm sure many of you will know about. Just to say quickly, we run these webinars on different topics and different sectors, so it's not always about beauty. What we are doing here at Open CPD is we're sharing our learning from different parts of different industries. So what you see today here is not just specifically for the beauty industry. Um, it is we pick up knowledge from all kinds of trainers in all kinds of sectors, and this is our way of sharing our knowledge. There will be an opportunity for questions afterwards, and hopefully you enjoy the webinar and you take something away from it. This is not a sales pitch. We want to share a couple of interesting ways of how CPD can work for you in your beauty training practice. So with that, let's get starting. My name is Marta. I'm the founder and managing director of Open CPD. And welcome today to our masterclass that is specifically designed for trainers. We see many people in many industries, and as trainers, you need to be able to provide the right kind of structure and the right kind of evidence. And what we're going to be talking about today is how to make that work in your beauty training, make you stand out and attract hopefully even more attendees that you have had previously. So let's have a quick look at what's the agenda for today. Well, first of all, we're going to talk a little bit about why it matters. Obviously, as I mentioned, I'm sure you will know a little bit about insurance and client trust and a few other really important aspects. But we will also be talking about demystifying this what CPD is all about. One of the most common comments I get when I talk to clients and potential clients is, oh, I'm so confused about this. I'm not quite sure how it works. You're not alone. So what we're going to do is kind of lift the fog on the on CPD in the beauty sector a little bit, and then we just launch straight into what makes a course or a training that you're providing, what makes it CPD credible, a little bit about how to go about this. You don't need Open CPD to do any of this that I'm going to show you today. So we're just sharing some good practice and how we can make it work for you. And of course, we can provide some resources afterwards that you will be able to download. So with that, let's get started. So the question is, does it even matter? And it matters more than ever before for many reasons. As beauty practitioners, you want to share your knowledge, you want to train other beauty practitioners, but you want to do that on the basis of trust on what you have learned, but you need to provide the evidence, and you need to provide the evidence for insurance companies. And of course, this is part of your professional reputation, and often when in the clinics, the various CPD certificates or other certificates are displayed. So it's important that clients can see it, clients can trust it, clients can check it if they want to, and so can everybody else, professionals, local authorities, insurance, etc. So this matters more than ever, not because it's a requirement, but because your clients, your trainees expect this from you as a trusted professional in the beauty industry. But, and this is what I was talking about, there are many misconceptions regarding where CPD comes from, who can issue it, and how does it fit in with other regulated qualifications. The first thing to say is qualifications in the UK are regulated by an organization called Ofqual. They are the only ones that can license people to issue official qualifications, NBQs, and there is no way around it. CPD is not a substitute for it. It's not part of it. But, and this is the most important thing, the CPD is most people's rest of their careers. If you think about this, you go to get a qualification in a particular process or skill, or you reach a certain qualification level. The rest of your life you will be spending on continued professional development. And in continued professional development, there isn't an end point. There is a beginning of a course, or there is a need that you want to improve, you want to update your knowledge, but everybody's practice is different, everybody's needs are different. So it's very important to actually understand that CPD and CPD type lifelong learning activities are not part of official qualifications. They're not a substitute for it, they sit alongside each other. Then the next question is, okay, great. So it's not an official, coming from an official authority or regulator. Where does it come from? Well, there are many providers, many organizations in the UK that would offer some sort of quality control or standards of your beauty training, and they will offer CPD accreditation. It is a perfectly valid service. Just be aware that they are not a regulator or not an official body. There are many companies offering more or less the same thing, and they provide a service. If it's a service that you do, you need, of course, you can do this, and of course, often it's linked with other membership or professional services or advice, etc. We at Open CPD, we are not one of those bodies. We will not accredit you. What we do is we give you the tools to provide self-accreditation. That means that you can issue CPD certificates, your own CPD certificates, without the involvement of any of these bodies, which is really important to understand. Provided you go about it the right way, you don't actually need a middleman. Your training is good enough. The next question is, okay, but how is that possible? I hear you say that, oh, hold on a second, are you sure? I thought there was an authority. No, that's actually, as I said, it's a misconception. But there are two things that really matter. One is the understanding of what skills and outcomes your training has achieved, because it has to be professional, it has to be delivered by a qualified professional, and I'll mention what that means. And it needs to be correct and verifiable. So if anybody asks who provided that training, what that training contained, you need to be able to provide the evidence and answer those questions. And this comes back to the third part, is both your insurance companies and clients, local authorities, they want to see the evidence. Now the question is, who can deliver training in beauty, and in particular therapies or techniques? That is defined as somebody who is qualified or sufficiently competent in delivering that training. It doesn't, the regulation doesn't say what means sufficiently qualified or competent. You need to just show that you are able to deliver that training because you have been maybe trained, or you participated in other training activities. The definition is that you need to show why you are a qualified person. It doesn't actually explain the how, or doesn't have a list of these people are qualified and some other people are not qualified. Okay, so the importance of evidence and providing why you're a good person is even more good person to deliver that training. I'm sure you're a good person, but the right person to deliver that training. If you can provide the evidence quickly and easily, that's the only thing that clients and insurers and local authorities and other authorities need to see. So that's a little bit of a fog lifted on the mystery. But then you say, well, that's great, but like, how do I actually do that? It is easier than you think. For any kind of training, especially in beauty training, there are three really important building blocks. Basically, the structure or DNA of your training needs to have three things clearly identified. First of all, learning aims. What aims? What are you trying to teach? What is it that the goals of this particular course? Where are you going? Where are you going to get to? The next thing is you want to list the specific skills that you have transferred, and we in the downloads at the end of that we'll be sharing with you at the end of the presentation, we provide quite a few examples of how easily you can list the various skills that may be included in your beauty training. So you will be able to provide that. As I said, give you some examples. We won't cover them in the actual webinar today, but please just click on the link, download it, and it will give you many examples. And then the third thing is that you have to reach specific outcomes, and that would be things like something is measurable, or you can clearly say what can somebody do today that they couldn't do at the beginning of the course. It doesn't mean that you have to examine the person. It's always good to have an assessment just to make sure you have delivered it. There are many different ways of reaching that, but you, at the end of the training, you have to be confident that the person that you have trained is now capable of doing whatever you taught them. They have the right skills, they understand the right kind of, whatever they need to understand, maybe consenting or safety measures or whatever it is. They need to be ready to work independently, and you just need to say whatever it is, what those outcomes are that trainee will be able to reach at the end of the course. And this is all you need. You don't actually need necessarily to go and do other things there are other ways of doing it, and the more evidence you can provide for this, the easier it is to verify and work through this. Now, just a little bit of a side note. So obviously, how do we know this? Because this is what OpenCPD is built on, and I'm not going to show you the product, but we make it really simple and easy to do all of this. But as I said, you don't need to do this. You need to be able to provide the right kind of evidence for that, and we make it very simple because we, in our case in OpenCPD, we build that into the certificate itself, so the certificate speaks for itself, so you don't have to, and it is auditable and verifiable, because that's also important. People may need to come back to you, check who you are, or check if the training covered the right kind of thing. If you're able to provide all that information up front, it saves time for you and gives the trust and the credibility to your certificates. Now, in the description of today's webinars, we were hinting about CPD goes beyond just the pure compliance and the need to have a piece of paper or a certificate or whatever, because there are quite innovative way that people in other industries, and sometimes in the beauty and aesthetic industry, use to, again, provide extra value and provide extra comfort and trust to your customers or potential trainees. So don't just think about specific courses. It's not just about courses. You may well already be doing things like workshops. You might be coaching, you might be mentoring somebody. If it has a learning content, and you can, many of these activities do, if people start with not knowing something and end up arriving at acquiring new skills or new capabilities, you can also recognize that, and it's actually a very good way of recognition of somebody's achievement or somebody's journey that they have got to a particular point. If you're not sure how to do about this, we spend a lot of time talking to various training providers, broadening the scope of what recognition you are able to provide. Just ping us, let's have a chat. You can tell us, is this a learning activity? Can I give certificates for that? Almost certainly, and we can help you define the how and guide you through it. Very important. We don't tell you exactly what to do and what not to do because we don't have your expertise. We know about structuring training and structuring certificates. So we're happy to help, and we are just your guide in this. So I said, there could well be other activities that you can use to issue certificates for, and one of them is something that you're already doing, and another one is actually a very good way of promoting your services, because that signals both to your clients and your maybe colleagues or in your local community, that you are able to share something. So, for example, I have seen CPDs used for attracting a bunch of customers, potential clients who wanted to know a little bit more about their own skincare. They wanted to, it was basically structured as a training opportunity, or extra learning. It was a nice evening, and the beauty provider said, by the way, I can recognize your attendance. I can recognize what you've learned. It was obviously, there was transfer of new skills and new knowledge. It was fairly short. It was only 1 hour, but the beauty therapist was able to use that as part of their marketing activity towards their clients, because they were happy. And also, obviously, don't forget, if you are delivering your training, that's also important for your own CPD portfolio, that your own training, that you prepared for a training, you delivered it, or you gave a talk at an event or some opportunity, that can also be recognized. So don't think narrow. Think, did this have some sort of learning? Did the people who were there, did they learn something new? Maybe they can take that away, and you can provide that as evidence. So obviously the first thing is for courses, but think about the bigger picture. I promised some real examples, so I'm just going to pause here, so just to get some up, but you will find them in the downloads specifically. So when we are talking about how to give good quality and meaningful certificates in the beauty industry, the first thing that you need to consider is this isn't about the treatment, it's actually about the learning. So, and we have helped, again, a few providers in the past. So, for example, what you want to say is not that this is a glow-up facial. It's actually training that was delivered on dermaplaning for a skin exfoliation. So the title of the course needs to be reflective, not what the client will get out of it and they look 10 years younger. That's important. That's part of your marketing, or part of the marketing of training. But the training is all about what you are teaching. If you're teaching a new process or a new way of dealing with something. When it comes to aims, you want to use language such as, for example, provide a safe professional training. You want to say things like the skills, list the skills that you have applied during the training. You want to describe how the training was delivered. It was delivered in person, in a clinic, over a weekend, or over several sessions. The more information you're able to provide about your training, the easier it is to see, for the person who's reading this, to see whether this is the right kind of training and the right kind of evidence. We make that very easy in our system to do that. But today's webinar is not about our system, it's about the process. So if you want to see the system, just again ping us. Quite happy to do a demo. So for example, you want to say things like skills is like applying, for example, serum, using needle-free delivery, or assessing skin types, select the correct exfoliation method. And by the way, I know nothing about the beauty industry. I'm using actual examples that our clients have used to great success. These bits of information that you will find in a download, and I'm kind of repeating here, comes from their knowledge. You're the subject matter expert. I'm teaching you how to phrase it. What you're phrasing, what you're describing is has to be your knowledge, and you know how. Anyway, so a couple of quick tips of how to make sure that it does work. So just when you've written out your aim, skills, and outcomes, you can just ask yourself, does this sentence show what the learner can do now? Okay. Do I know that what it is that that person is able to do independently or in a clinic setting? Would this help an employer, insurer, or a training body to understand what the training was all about? Again, the more specific you can get, the easier it is for other people to evaluate it. And again, the better, the more value-driven and evidence-driven your certificate will be. And then obviously focus on the practitioner's development. Again, they got from somewhere that they couldn't do before, they can do now. And as I said, we have got a range of examples of specific beauty related sentences and phrases to use. And we're happy for you to obviously, I've been mentioning the downloads. This is where you can download them from. And we also have a couple of other guides about how we produce videos and guides on how to kind of get this done quickly and easily, because the whole point is you don't want this to break the bank, and you definitely don't want to spend more time on it than necessary. How you can use it in your own practice, not just for evidence, but it's also part of your impressing your community and your own marketing. And again, my name is Marta. I'd love you to connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm not a Facebook person, but we have OpenCPD has a presence on Facebook and on Instagram, on obviously LinkedIn. So connect with us, either with myself or as a company. Ask us questions. We're very happy to answer. How would you do this? Is this course suitable? How can I evidence this? That's a free service. We don't charge for that. And again, there are more webinars and more resources on our website. So if you're interested in learning more, please come along and find out, or let's have a chat. And I've reached the end of today's webinar, so I'm going to stop the recording and respond to your questions that have been coming through. This is a regular thing, so we don't usually record the questions and answers. But as I said, we're here, and I will stay on the line, so you will be able to ask anything. Thank you very much for joining.